Hello! Today I want to tell you about my passion for Doctor Who. I've been a fan of the show since I was a young boy, and I played the Silver Ball. No, that's something else. I was born during the era of the First Doctor, and the First Doctor was played by William Hartnell, and he could be grumpy at times, childish at others, laughing at his own jokes. Remind you of anyone like Matt Smith, who learnt a lot from William Hartnell? He was part of the reason that the show became such a success. Followed by Patrick Troughton, who played probably the Doctor more like we actually know him today, who was funny, quirky, silly, but brave as well, and showed how normal people could be brave. He also introduced the sonic screwdriver and had the longest reigning companion in Jamie McCrimmon, the Highlander. The third Doctor introduced us to colour TV and was the first Doctor that I actually saw on telly. Played by Jon Pertwee, he was flamboyant with big frilly shirts and velvet smoking jackets and capes. Stranded on Earth for most of his time, he had to make do with what tools he could get in the laboratories, and had an almost constant fight against the military in the form of UNIT, who constantly wanted to shoot the aliens or blow them up, regardless of whether they were friendly or not. He regenerated into the magnificent Tom Baker. Tom was the longest standing Doctor, playing the part for 7 years. Remember him for Jelly Babies and the Long Scarf, though he wasn't the first to have Jelly Babies, that was the second Doctor. I told you he was the trendsetter for more modern Doctors. He regenerated into the young Peter Davison, the youngest actor to play the Doctor at the time, and the one that David Tennant thought of as his Doctor. This is possibly just as well as David Tennant ended up marrying his daughter. Peter Davison brought an innocence and a vulnerability to the role. He regenerated into the outgoing and completely boisterous and arch Colin Baker. He hated his costume, which was chosen by the producers, this ridiculously over-the-top thing that looked like an outcast of Joseph in a Technicolor Dreamcoat. Like Peter Capaldi, he started out being grumpy and irascible, and this somewhat alienated the audience. If you get a chance though, I recommend you listen to his audio adventures by Big Finish Productions, where he is quite possibly the best audio Doctor. He regenerated into the quirky and fun-loving Sylvester McCoy, who initially had to make do with stories written for Colin Baker. Some of his later stories, though, are some of the best Doctor Who that's ever been on TV, where his Doctor always had a hidden agenda, and they reintroduced some mystery to the character. After a lull of 7 years, we got the TV movie with Paul McGann, and this time we had a young and dashing Doctor. And though we only saw him the once apart from a short online episode, again, if you listen to his audio adventures, he's wonderful. When Doctor Who relaunched in 2005, it came back with Christopher Eccleston, who brought some gravitas to the role. His tenure, though, was only short-lived for a year before we had David Tennant, a young, fast-moving, fast-talking Doctor who wasn't afraid to show his feelings. He regenerated into the youngest Doctor to date, Matt Smith. Now, I was apprehensive about him taking on the role, but he proved magnificent. And while he could be fun-loving, he played the character as an old man in a young man's body. Currently, we have Peter Capaldi, the oldest man, in fact, to play the Doctor. The producers decided to make him irritable to start off with, which did alienate some of the audience. Over time, though, they have softened his character and made him more approachable. I'll finish up today with a few jokes to do with Doctor Who. Why don't you get many stories with 2 Doctors in them? Because it'd be a paradox. Paradox? Never mind. What kind of parrot can you find in the TARDIS? Sylvester McCaw. What did the silence say to the Doctor? I'm sorry, I can't remember. To get to the other side. Why did the chicken trapped in a temporal paradox cross the road? How many Doctors does it take to change a light bulb? 12. One to change the bulb and the other 11 to complain that the previous one was better than the current one. What's it like to be the War Doctor? It hurts. Who is the greatest artist of all time? Salvador Dali. And I'll leave you with this pickup line. You must be a weeping angel, because I can't take my eyes off of you. That's all for this week. Goodbye.